If you've considered moving to Raleigh, or if you're already here and planning to buy a home, I'm going to drop some truth bombs today about how real estate works here that's going to help you make a good decision and hopefully take some of the stress and anxiety out of that decision-making process. Because even though the real estate market can be really tough right now, if you're in the know about the market, you can come out of the buying process super happy that you made a great investment. Sometimes people make sacrifices when choosing their homes because they think it's a better financial investment, like buying in this area instead of that area, because they think properties are going to appreciate better in one area over the other. Understanding the real estate climate and these important facts can help you know which sacrifices are necessary and which really aren't. Fact number one, there are two categories of suburbs in the Raleigh area. If you look at all the suburbs of Raleigh, Morrisville, Cary, Apex, Holly Springs, Fuquay, Garner, Knightdale, Wendell, and Zebulon, you can see that there's a very distinct pricing pattern. Look at these current median prices. The closer the property is to Research Triangle Park, which is our largest employment center, the more expensive it is. So you can see on this map that Cary is sitting directly below RTP, and it's the highest priced suburb in the area. And here is another little tidbit. Some of you might be thinking, what happened to Morrisville? Isn't Morrisville the closest suburb to RTP? You're correct that Morrisville is closer to RTP, and it does break the rule of proximity to RTP, determining the value. And so this is a great example that there are always way more variables than we can look at one time, at least in a YouTube video. Believe it or not, this is my version of oversimplifying. And because I'm simplifying, I'm also leaving out Wake Forest, which is another outlier, and we'll talk about that another day. Anyway, in this case, Morrisville has a significantly higher rate of attached housing. Right now, as I'm writing this video, in Cary, 21% of homes listed on the market are attached homes, either condos or townhomes. And in Morrisville, that number is 47% of homes currently listed on the market that are attached. And that's another thing to know about housing. Density brings down housing costs.
I'm your density.
So the median priced home in Morrisville is lower than Cary, even though it's closer to RTP, but it's because those homes are sitting on much less land. We'll touch on this move to more dense development in a minute. But back to those categories of suburbs. They are the western suburbs, Cary, Apex, Holly Springs, and the eastern suburbs, Garner, Knightdale, Wendell, and Zebulon. But I want to dial into one suburb that I think holds a very interesting piece to the puzzle of how prices will shift across the entire triangle in the future. That suburb is Fuquay-Varina. Now, before I move forward and talk about Fuquay's unique place in the real estate landscape, one caveat: because I get some kind of weird dopamine boost from trying to predict the future doesn't mean that I actually know what is going to happen. You all are still welcome to call me and ask me, and I love talking to you, and I'm always willing to share my opinion for what it's worth. But until my crystal ball gets back out of the shop, I'm going to continue to answer that I really don't know the future. But it's still fun to think about the possible reasons behind how the future of real estate might play out in the triangle. Now, before I got brave enough to stand in front of a camera, I was a real estate blogger, and I wrote this market update in 2017. See how Fuquay is about the same price as the eastern suburbs, even though it's on the west side? But the pricing in Fuquay is now starting to look a lot more like the western suburbs. Why is this happening? I think the answer to that lies in the 3 L's of real estate: location, location, location. Okay, but Fuquay's location hasn't changed, but its price has, so why has the pricing structure in Fuquay changed? If we can understand this, and as you know by now, I have a theory about it, we can apply that logic to the other eastern suburbs to make some predictions about what is going to happen to prices on that side of town. As for its geographic location, Fuquay is about the same distance to RTP as Knightdale and Wendell, and Garner is actually closer. So why is Fuquay more expensive? I think the first reason Fuquay has jumped up into this pricing structure more similar to the western suburbs is because those western suburbs have developed enough value in and of themselves. It's no longer just proximity to RTP that has value. The proximity to Holly Springs and Apex is a big deal. Let me explain. The western suburbs have a longer history of extensive planning and development. If you contrast Cary, Apex, or even Holly Springs and Fuquay with the eastern suburbs, you're just going to see more. You're going to see more downtown development, more shopping, more restaurants, more parks. This is what it means means for Fuquay. Fuquay has two distinct historic downtown districts. It's also 10 minutes from Holly Springs downtown and 20 minutes from downtown Apex. The eastern suburbs have very little of this boutique-style walkable shopping. That doesn't mean these things aren't coming in the near future to the eastern suburbs, but these kinds of amenities are important to people purchasing right now. And even though Fuquay is just as far from RTP, it's much closer to all three great outdoor walkable shopping districts and the many parks on the western half of Wake County. And that brings us to fact number 2. The way property values are increasing now in the Triangle is completely different than they ever have before. Today, the average price increase in every town in the Triangle is increasing in a uniform way. Look at this chart of current price increases. And now look at this chart in 2017 price increases. When we compare the value increases by town in 2017 and then look at 2021, can you see how they all increased at about the same rate last year? And in 2017, it was all over the place. In 2017, some went up, some went down, some went up significantly more than others, some less. But in 2021, they all saw roughly the same level of increase. There were no winners and losers. I have a theory about that. This is something I've been saying for a while about the general market, but I think it really applies on a local scale as well. The work from home phenomenon is not going away. Even when COVID is just another bug that you catch in the wintertime, the impacts of this will remain in our workplaces and in real estate, and it's having an impact here on the Raleigh market. According to a Gallup poll, 3 out of 5 employees prefer to continue working from home. As long as there remains an employee shortage, what employees want, they're likely to get, or they're going to go to another company. And lists of companies that have made the shift to permanent work from home or hybrid models are growing. And again, this is not a COVID thing. CEOs are recognizing that hiring people with diverse skill sets is way easier if they don't have to live in your geographic location. Talent acquisition is going to go through the roof with this kind of flexibility in the workplace. Okay, so why is that important in Raleigh? Let me connect some dots. 5 years ago, depending on which suburb you bought a house in, you might see considerable increases or decreases because of the way things are increasing so evenly across the board right now, and because that shift in the things that are important to people in a home purchase has changed, i.e. they don't have to live near their workplace, either because they're used to longer commutes or because there's such a large percentage of people working from home. It would be reasonable to assume that values in the Triangle should grow fairly evenly and uniformly regardless of where you purchase. Remember that even companies who are hybrid, some work from home and some in the office, allows people to live further away. I often have people call and say that they only need to be in the office once a week, and so they're looking further out. I've even had people consider places as far as Greensboro because they're only coming into the Triangle once a week. People moving here often come from large cities where they're used to long commutes. Even though these Eastern Triangle cities don't have as much of the amenities of the western suburbs yet, they're growing now because when compared to places like LA, they seem really close to the amenities of downtown Raleigh, so they're seen as extremely valuable by transplants. This is why they're going to continue to grow. These suburbs, with their growing tax bases, which brings in money to build new parks and shopping districts, are going to grow into vibrant suburbs similar to the ones on the western side. In fact, it's already happening. 10 years ago, this park didn't exist, and in 2018, they added this amphitheater. And finally, one last thing you should know about real estate here. Big lots are so 1995. The trend all over the Triangle is toward density. Look at the change in attached housing that's being sold in 2021 compared to 10 years ago in 2011. We are just seeing a lot more attached housing being built. I think this is relatively slow growth of attached housing compared to what we're about to see in the next few years as prices grow higher. Morrisville, that we talked about earlier, is a great example of that. There's a lot of new growth companies in the Triangle that pay really high salaries, which is going to continue to spur the growth of luxury housing. But that's not going to be for everyone. As land continues to grow in value, more attached housing is going to be built. That provides affordable housing options to buyers, it helps builders stay within their margins, and it ensures diversity in real estate, which protects builders from risk. If you're looking for a single-family home on a larger lot, these are your options. North, near Falls Lake into the Falls Lake watershed, Chatham County, Apex, or Harnett County. Or if you want to be closer in, you're going to have to look for those older homes that were built before land prices rose to what they are today. Nowadays, anything built close to the city or a suburb town center is on a small lot. So while I was writing this script, we were actually personally in negotiations for a house that we're really hoping to purchase on one of these larger lots in an area where they do have homes that are on like 1 to 3 acre lots. It's really rare to find a house there, and we really hope that we win this one because it's going to be really exciting. It's in the Penny Road area, which is right between Raleigh and Cary, and this one's a little bit scary because it's been a rental for like 10 years and it's really a fixer-upper. It's going to have to be a complete gut, like take every single thing out of it. So if we get it, I'll let you know next week and we will take you on a tour of the house. So if you like this video, you might like this one where I got out and talked to a bunch of Raleigh locals and they told me everything they think about living in the Raleigh area.